See, what happened was that I don't know what has happened to cause Sam Shamoun to come after me the way that he has decided to do so. Up through November, we had fairly regular conversations. There have been many times in the past when I've had to object to Sam's language and his behavior toward others. But at the same time, if I have things to repent for, the first would be the one I mentioned earlier, and that is in the past ever having done debates where the individual I was debating was not a very important part of my thinking in regards to a desire to see that individual see Christ in me. If anyone engages in debate that does not have that desire, they shouldn't be doing it, not as a Christian. And so there was more than once when there's something, I forget when it was. I think it was last year sometime, maybe early last year or late 2015. Don't remember what it was. But Yusuf Ismail sent me materials about some of the things that Sam Shamoun had said. And I've heard clips from Pal Talk. Anybody using Pal Talk's in trouble. That's just all there is to it. Pal Talk is just, Pal Talk's bad news. But I had been sent clips that were, just, this is not how a Christian should behave. And if the first thing that I have to repent of is ever having engaged in debate for the wrong reasons with wrong attitudes, then pray that I will be better at that in the future. That you should be praying fervently for the person that you're engaging and for the people that are going to hear that in the future. And I've been thinking a lot about two specific phrases in the New Testament: adorning the gospel, or adorning the teaching. In other words, by our behavior, we can either distract from or adorn the teaching. We can make it even more understandable to someone when it is spoken with love in the heart. Gospel truth spoken in hatred will not be blessed by the Spirit of God. Gospel truth spoken in hatred will not be blessed by the Spirit of God. And so if you are one of my Muslim debate opponents in the past, I want you to understand that I pray for you. I care about you. And if I have not communicated that, part of it's because, I'm just not the warmest guy on the planet. It's always just sort of the way I am. I'm more of a, believe it or not, more of an introvert than an extrovert. But the reality is that it doesn't matter. Sam has used his being Assyrian as an excuse. Well, I'm Assyrian. We're just very aggressive. Well, I'm Scottish. That means we're very closed. Both of them are stupid excuses. The Spirit of God, if the Spirit of God dwells in you, all the rest of that stuff's ridiculous. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So I ask for your forgiveness if I have in any way not adorned the gospel. The other phrase that I've been thinking of is in Ephesians 4:15. Speaking the truth in love. Speaking the truth in love. What does it mean to be honest, to speak truth, but only within the context of love? What does that look like in our day? How do you not compromise and yet be loving? That balance is not easy, but I'm going to tell you one thing. It's cowardice and it's laziness to not try to maintain that balance. It's easy to go the nuclear route. It's easy to go the flamethrower route. That's the easy way. That's the cheap way out. Trying to maintain that balance, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. It really, really is. So the other thing that I would have to repent of is there were far too many times when Sam would do something, and I'm like, that's Sam the Assyrian, That's just his thing. And I didn't call him on the carpet for it, and I should have. Because there is a soft-hearted Sam Shamoun. There really is. And by the way, we've got screenshots out the wazoo on our hard drives here, including one where early on, Sam's bullying me and say, he better not do a dividing line. He'll have to deal with me, and this type of thing. And then a little bit later, debate challenges. I'm not sure how you put the two of those together, but anyway. Look, the fact of the matter is there is a soft-hearted Sam Shamoun in there somewhere. He almost never lets people see that. That's the Sam that I really liked, and that's the Sam I'm going to continue to pray for. And I was very honest with him. I said, Sam, you've just got to ask yourself an honest question. How heartfelt is your desire for the salvation of the individuals to whom you're dealing with? Because if it's heartfelt, then you're not going to put yourself in the way. He has this thing where he defends the way he talks to people by, the prophets did this, so he views himself as a prophet. And, my response was, well, okay, if you view yourself as a prophet, I'm an individual who knows my own sin, knows my own pride, and I know that I need grace, and hence I need to act in grace. So if you want to defend the kind of vitriolic personal attacks you launch against Muslims, or now against me as a prophet, okay, I'm not mature enough for that. I'm not there in my sanctification. You must be much more sanctified than I am. Except for one thing. The fact of the matter is Sam Shamoun cannot control his temper. And the Muslims know it. And on Pal Talk, they know exactly what buttons to push. It's like it's like bringing up my iPhone here, and there are certain buttons I can push that will make it do certain things. And it's that predictable. They know exactly how to make him explode. Well, that really diminishes your, how much you can do when the people on the other side already view you as a foul-mouthed, angry person, and they know exactly what buttons to push to make you become foul-mouthed and angry again. That's a major problem. It really is. And I tried to deal with those things. I tried to be a friend. Starting in November of last year, things got quiet. Things just stopped. And starting in December, I start getting these little notes from people. Hey, did you see what Sam Shamoun posted? And it would be, it'd be something on ecclesiastical textism, or here's someone refuting James White on this, or here's something refuting James White on that. And he's done that over the years. And when I talk to him about it, I say, I'm just stirring the pot. Or he says, I'm a stinker, aren't I? But it just started becoming a drumbeat, just over and over. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is that this was long before the Yasser Qadhi stuff, and really long before we even mentioned that the Yasser Qadhi stuff was happening. So in other words, there was already something going on. Now, I have a theory. I think Sam's trying to prove himself to someone, but I don't have evidence. I don't have proof of it. So people say, what happened? I go, oh, ask him. He never said anything to me about this. Shockingly, day for yesterday, it was yesterday. Shockingly, and this is how far into, well, I guess La La Land. I can't say that now because that's actually a movie that's up for. Yeah, you didn't. Well, I didn't see it either. But off into the woods, into the trees, it's gotten. Even accused me of being responsible for what happened to Eric Cantor's son. I mean, you start losing rationality about at that point. Actually, did a little bit before that. Why? What's going on here? Because so much of what Sam is saying about me now, we were having fine, warm conversations while all that stuff was going on. Never said a word about it. He was recommending me. There used to be stuff on his website about me and all sorts of stuff like that. And now all of a sudden, everything's changed. And finally, once he finally started coming out and really coming after me, after just posting all these refutation articles, the main argument was fairly straightforward. James White treats Christians worse than he treats Muslims. That's what he was telling everybody. This is, again, we have, if we have to post 100 different screenshots, we can do that. I don't want to. I have no interest in it. I have far more important things to be doing. And we can provide all this stuff, but there is the argument that I treat Christians worse than I treat Muslims. There's truth in that. There's truth in that. In this sense, I have a different standard for a Christian leader than I have for a Muslim. And the Bible tells me to have a different standard. Let not many of you be teachers, for you have the stricter judgment. There isn't, I just can't see how anyone could make an argument that we are to have a higher standard for our Muslim neighbor than we are for William Lane Craig. But the argument really becomes, well, I'm not even going to say fallacious. It just becomes ridiculous when Sam is sitting there saying, James White mistreats Christians, and then look how he's treating me. I think maybe he's getting around that because I've been sent a number of times now the same graphic where he liked on Facebook a comment from one of his followers calling me an apostate. And as I said, Maury's already done that. So maybe he just doesn't even think I'm a Christian. Maybe that's where he's gone now. And if that's the case, wow. There you go. From friendship to you're not even a Christian in 3 easy steps, I guess. So I do hold someone like William Lane Craig to a higher standard. But the fact of the matter is, and anybody who will honestly approach this subject knows, I have never utilized the kind of language, invective, vitriol toward William Lane Craig, Leighton Flowers, anybody on the synergist side. I'm their constant critic. But I've never used the kind of language that Sam uses not only of Muslims, but of me in criticizing them. So how can you even make the argument? There's a word for that when you judge somebody else for what you yourself are doing. But I will never use the language, and have never used the language, and everybody knows this to be true, that Sam Shamoun uses on a regular basis. So the initial argument, the initial assertion, just simply doesn't have legs. It can't be established and having any meaning to it. And Sam never said a word about it to me, ever. In lengthy conversations, not a word. All of a sudden it just sort of pops up. Now, why? Well, go back to late November, early December, and you might get a hint as to, I think, what is actually behind all of this stuff. But the big thing now, the attacks had already started. There is already a tremendously biased, anything against me he was posting, even though they all come from different perspectives. He's even said, and by the way, despite all of this, I'm not going to defend Sam. Some people say, you're stupid. No, look, it's got to be truthful. Got to be consistent. I saw a screen capture a few days ago, or maybe a week ago, even a week ago now. I'm not sure. Where Sam actually made the statement that he has abandoned belief in particular redemption because of my arguments. Not because of someone else's arguments against it, but because of my arguments. Now, when I hear someone say that, I just remember how many Mormon missionaries I've talked to on sidewalks who had no answers for anything. And yet when they walked away said, you've strengthened my testimony in the church. That's called whistling as you walk by the graveyard. Some of you have never walked by a graveyard in the dark at night. But it's obviously you're trying to prop yourself up. And for someone to say, I've abandoned particular because of his arguments, that's, yeah, okay, right, sure. But at the very same time that Sam is abandoning particular redemption, he's posting, yesterday or today, he posted a link to a Tim Staples article. Proclaimed Trent Horn the winner of the debate. Do we see a future Roman Catholic here? Hope not. But at the same time, going in ecclesiastical text direction, I mean, it's so scattered that I don't even know what's going on. But what happened was, and look, like I said, Sam gets angry, and if you look at a lot of these comments, it starts off in one way, and then it ends up in all caps with lots of misspelled words in it. That's generally indicative of someone who's writing with emotion, and you don't track your terminology real well when you're writing in that way. And so what happened was, and I even saw the screen cap that I think was responsible for this. Particular redemption and substitutionary atonement are not the same thing. They are related as far as consistency is concerned. I mean, substitutionary atonement is a Reformed doctrine. There may be synergists who hold it, but I'll be quite honest with you, they do so inconsistently. But in one of the screenshots I saw, Sam confused the terminology. And as a result, people started asking me, did you hear that Sam Shamoun has denied substitutionary atonement? And my response was, no, he denied particular redemption, not substitutionary atonement. If that's the case, I haven't seen it, but I know that he's abandoned a Reformed position on a particular redemption, but I don't think so. Well, I guess there was a Pulp and Pen article yesterday or today. Well, today, I think. I'm not sure which it was. Was it this morning? Yeah. Saying that he's abandoned substitutionary atonement. And he himself had written, again, it may have been all caps, I don't remember, but a thing, I absolutely believe in this, and so on and so forth. So, don't accuse him of what he hasn't done, but he's partially to blame for this, because when you allow your emotions to so completely overrule you, you'll make mistakes in your terminology. And there was this comment that was made, and someone was dialoguing with him about David Wood, and he actually said David Wood had as well. And of course, that's not the case as far as I know. So there you go. As far as I know, he has not abandoned substitutionary atonement. He would have to if he went the Roman direction or something like that. But as of now, it's particular redemption. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, it's sort of scary when someone starts changing their theological perspectives just simply to have another argument against someone that they are going after, and going after big time. That's not why you change your theological views. So here's the big thing. Finally, at 2:24, I knew it was going to be a long afternoon. Here's the big thing. Once I did the first dialogue with Yasser Qadi, wow, the explosion was amazing. Robert Morey, the apostasy of James White. Sam was all over it. Just, I don't think Sam slept for 2 days. I mean, he was, every few minutes, somebody was sending me something else. And I was telling people, stay away from him. You don't understand. If you do not absolutely agree with him 100%, he's going to turn on you. He's going to rebuke you. He's going to go after you. He's going to ban you. He's going to, whatever. This is just the mindset that he's in right now. There's no talking to him. So don't even bother. Well, a lot of people either didn't hear the warning or whatever, and have suffered the consequences, very expected consequences in that case. And so before the second half even hit, there were people saying, Sam was saying I needed to step down from ministry, call the church, shame me for it. And what was it all about? They didn't even wait to see what the second half was going to be like. They didn't wait for the posting of the video from the second half, which came up, took a little bit longer to get up than the first one did. And so there wasn't any desire to be fair. And that's been one of the real problems is, some of these people I thought were friends, and yet they were willing to just throw me under the bus in no time, without even having any fairness or patience. Why do people today have to act in 5 minutes? This is what social media has done to us. It has to be done now. There's no time to actually allow somebody to, I hadn't even addressed the issue. And yet it's like, well, nope, no, we're not going to, you're out of here. We'll no longer work with you, and you shouldn't be involved in doing debates with Muslims and all the rest of that kind of stuff. It's like, whoa, wow, learned a lot during that, that's for sure.